Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Today, something completely different. Some interesting kits coming up, items I've never seen before. And here today we've got the Vampire Mk.1 British jet from Marivox in cooperation with Daedelus models. It's interesting, it's not actually companies that I've never heard of before, but they also, in addition, are in league with a company called Falcon Canopies. I think it's like a vac form canopy. Now Marivox, I believe, are made in Poland. Krzysztof, I forget, my Polish is really bad. Krzysztof Siwiek, and it's made in 1999, so it's certainly not a new kit. But it looks quite interesting. It's got 3 schemes. Let me show you closer. And by the way, sorry, I should explain, this is not one of mine. This has been loaned to the channel by our good friend Chris Doney. So thank you very much, Chris. He's come up with 3 quite interesting kits for us to look at in the next week or 2. So yeah, let's have a little closer look at this. It's something a little bit different that I've not seen before. See what you think. So we've got 3 interesting schemes here. We've got obviously the Royal Air Force, 247 Squadron. Doesn't say where they were based, and I'm afraid I'm none the wiser. Was it Wittering? I'm not sure. I think it might be Wittering. But so this is the Vampire, obviously the RAF Vampire, not to be confused with the Sea Vampire. Then you've got the Swedish Air Force J28A, as they call it, of Force 3. And then there's another option of Force 13, which I think is a Fleet Squad, of their squadron name, you know. I'm sure our Swedish friends, several Swedish subscribers and viewers on the channel that we get commenting from time to time, I'm sure they can tell us more. It's nice the way they've laid this out. Look at the way they've done this, the graphics, showing you the underside of the wings, the different versions. So the Swiss version is a Swiss Air Force version. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's quite a few, isn't it, actually? You've actually got 6 options, including the Dominican Republic Air Force here. I mean, that's amazing that they've got that many options in the kit. French Air Force, Dominican Air Force. It's saying that the undersurfaces are American style. And then you've got the 2 RAF options, you've got the Swedish, and you've got the Swiss, so that's 6, that's incredible. So anyway, on the side we've got a little bit more. Some nice graphics actually, the artwork's nice. Swiss Air Force option, and because Switzerland at this time were buying quite a lot of RAF stuff. They bought the Hunter later, 4 or 5 years later as well. Here's the Dominican Republic Air Force, look. How interesting is that? That's quite an unusual scheme. And on the other side we've got the Royal Air Force, 605 Squadron, again doesn't say where, and then finally got the French Air Force. So you've got some really nice options there, so quite an interesting start. Now then, what's the rest of this kit going to be like? Because I'm going to be brutally honest with you, I have no idea what's in the box. I haven't opened it and had a look and a peep or anything, so no idea. So I've got a fresh mind. I have been criticised recently though, I think maybe justifiably. Some of you have been complaining I've been a bit generous with some of these scores I've been giving them. Maybe some truth in that. I think perhaps I feel a bit compelled to be generous if somebody's loaned me one. I try and dial that out if I can. However, I think, don't forget when I give these scores out of 10 at the end, it's always based on its age. So I'm giving it a score against, you know, that year, the kind of product that you'd buy at that price that was in the market in competition with it. So it's very much not, don't think of it as, it can't be a 9 out of 10, it's not that great, blah blah flash. Yeah, but I'm purely judging it on its own time. You can't compare it to today when I give a new one 9.5 out of 10 or Wings 10 out of 10. That is, please bear that in mind. You can't, you know, cross-explain it. You've just got to accept that it is of its time, and like some of the Matchbox I give 9, 9.5 in some cases. I mean, you might think it's generous, but compared to what was out in 72, that's probably well deserved 9.5 out of 10. So anyway, there we go. So Daedelus, I've never heard of them before. Let's have a look at what we've got then. Here we go. Now, Chris has told me to open the bag. No messing about. And we've got, yes, we have got back form canopies, I was right. Looks like there's 2 options in a little bag. And we've got some, almost looks like back form plastic, to be honest. And we have one big bag with sprues in, and then I don't know why that isn't in a bag. That's very odd. You've got a bag with sprues in, and then these wing parts are not in a bag. That's curious. Marivox. Okay, let's have a look then. What have we got? Oh, this is some addition. Ooh. So I think it's one of these cottage industry sort of manufacturers, isn't it? I suspect. Decals are quite good. Alright, let's have a look at what we got then. So, zooming in, bit of history. Ah, that's good, that's good. The project started in 1941 as the Spider Crab, and the prototype flew 43 to 45, with the first production planes available in 1946, and 247 Squadron was equipped with the plane. As early as 1946, the delivery of the Swedish Flygflottilj, there you go, I was right, F-13 started since England was in great need of foreign currency. You know, we were broke after World War II. Too right we were. Many Swedish planes were later exported to the Dominican Republic and some were to Austria. One reason for the twin boom arrangement was to avoid the effect losses from the low performance of the Goblin engine. So basically to give more lift, I guess. The plane was very easy to handle, and later variants are still seen at air shows all around the world. That's quite a good intro, I've got to say. I like that. This is made in 1999. I'm not sure why our friends in China and elsewhere can't do something similar to that. I've moaned about it many times. That's been well done, I think. It even gives technical data, which is nice, you know. It's not asking too much, is it, to have a sheet like that? That's a great start for this kit. So it's got 1.4 thousand pounds of thrust, I think that is. 1,407 pounds, 1,407 pounds of thrust. And maximum speed 854 kilometres an hour. Maximum ceiling height 10,000 metres. That's that 2 miles, isn't it? And then maximum range 1,175 kilometres. And armed with a British Hispano 20mm cannon. Very good. Right, let's have a look at this. I like it so far. Let's see how we get on. So, building up a little cockpit complete with stick. Telling you what the colours should be, which I like, instead of giving you a silly reference from a manufacturer that you may not use. Tells you what the colours should be. Obviously it leaves it open for some latitude, I suppose, but there you go. And you building in your nose wheel that goes under the cockpit. And you're bringing the cockpit together. There's obviously no pilot, unfortunately, but there we go. The two halves of the cockpit, of course, which is like it's almost like a bubble, big stretched egg, isn't it, really, in terms of shape. Got your tailpipe, jet pipe going in the back, and then you've got two options, which it doesn't make it terribly clear about which option is which, I have to say. Unless that's in this other part here, which I don't think it is. No. Okay, I'll come back to that. Then you've got your wings going together, fairly conventional, plus your intakes, air intakes for the jet. They're on the leading edge in this jet, of course. And then it ducks straight into the fuselage. Wings going in. Got your gear door for your front nose wheel going in there. Main gear coming in here with your leg and your wheels and your covers. Then you've got the twin booms. It's almost like a P-38 Lightning, isn't it? I think they went on the same concept as that, really. And then you bring those booms in once you've built it up as an assembly with your tails and your elevators. And you bring it all together basically, and you bring those booms in, plus your drop tanks. Tells you what colours to put in, and the wheel well bays. And then on the rear we've got the decal and the stencil positions, I guess. And there we go, really showing you the positions of where everything goes. That's quite good. Stenciling, Swedish, English, different stencils, of course. Very good point. Well done. Done that well, I think. Then we've got an additional sheet which shows the cockpit interior. It's like it's got some, I don't know, some aftermarket on it. I'm not quite sure what's going on really there. It's quite interesting, isn't it? So what's all that about then? It seems to be showing, it's for the, I'll tell you what it's for. It's for the PE, of course. It's a PE guide, PE separate instructions. So I suspect that was never in the original kit when it was first released, whenever that was. And this is like a separate PE instructions. So that makes sense. So you've got seat belts here, and then you've got various bits of the instruments. You've got support brackets, all that kind of stuff. And parts of the undercarriage here, exhaust pipe, nose gear strut, wheel well and wing, looks like pitot heads that are going on there, and also the support struts for the actual gear bay doors. Okay, so that's, yeah, that makes sense. I get it. Very good. And then we have got the said. Well, let's do the decals next, because they look actually rather good, I've got to say. Look at these. I quite like the look of those. Swiss, French, Dominican. Dominican's quite nice, isn't it? It's like a mixture of everything else. And it does look a bit like a Target, doesn't it? Oops. Anyway, then you've got the British RAF, obviously, and you've got two different styles of RAF markings there. And then you've got the Swedish with their Royal Crowns, Kronas, and then you've got your different stencils, and make sure you put the right ones on, because obviously the Swedish ones are in Swedish and you don't want to mix them up. They look rather nice. Doesn't say who made the decals, I presume. Oh, it does. It's I should have known. Because it's in Poland, it's Techmod, of course. It's here, look. Techmod do nice decals. I've used theirs before. I've been quite impressed with them. So that's very nice. I like it so far. I like it a lot, actually. I like the presentation. It's been thought out properly. Not like many we see now. And then we've got this lovely photo etch, which is really rather nice, isn't it? See that? That is really, it's quite thin as well. It's quite a nice feel to it. Feels a bit like Edward photo etch, to be fair. It's rather than Tamiya's, which tends to be a lot thicker. But no, they've done that really well. You've got all the little struts and little supports for the gear doors, instrumentation here. That's nicely done. Yeah, and the belts are nice and thin. I like it. It looks really good. Very cute looking little fret. Yeah, I'm impressed with that. Put my back in this back here. Oops, there we go. So far, so good. Now then, now I think we're going to come to the bit that I'm probably not going to like so much, and that's some of the plastic. Yeah, it's not particularly nice, I've got to say. Have a look at this. This is on the reverse of the internal side of the wings sprue, the moulding. Yeah, that's not the nicest I've ever seen, is it? It's a very sort of thick, hard plastic they're using. It's almost like resin. Is it resin? I'm starting to wonder if it is resin. It feels a bit like resin. I don't think it is. But it's just so rough and ready, you know, and it's very sort of flashy and a bit nasty, really. Here's the other side of the main wing. So this is the top of the wing, and again, it's a bit nasty, yeah, it does look like resin, doesn't it? Does it say it's a resin kit? I don't think it actually says. Limited edition. No, it doesn't really say how it's made. It just, it can't be extruded, it can't be injection moulded, surely, not with all this. It's like it's come out of a big block mould. It's got, you see that? It's got like veins in it. That's really grim. Don't know how well they're going to go together, but it doesn't really bode very well. Don't like the appearance of it at all, to be fair. Oh dear, it's suddenly failing, isn't it? Let's do the rest. Right, we don't want to be too harsh, as we've very kindly loaned this by Chris. Let's try and open it as sensitively as we can and hope that the rest is a bit better. Looking at it from this distance before I open the bag, I think they've injection molded it apart from those wings. I think that's a resin sprue, basically. Now, how can I do this? I can reseal these bags now. I've got a resealer. So what I'll do is I'll just get the knife in at this end, like so. Famous last words. It's never as easy as you think it's going to be. There we go. I've got the blade in. If I just run the blade. Okay, I'll just run it down instead. It's not going to work that. I'll use a new blade or something. Right, we're in. Now this, I've got to say, looks far more conventional looking than plastic. Oh, okay, so we've actually got a clear sprue as well as the vac form. of a strange mix-up, isn't it? That is curious. We'll compare those in a second. Anyway, let's have a look at these. Now these look a bit more conventional to me. This seems a bit more normal, the plastic sort of quality. It looks completely different to those wings. Here we are then. So, Vampire Mistral, it says here. It feels like it's a bit of a combination of other kits, this to me. Here's all your doors and your gear. But this does feel like a normal plastic injection molded plastic sprue. That's not too bad, a bit flashy but not too bad. Then we have got this one, which is the fuselage. Now, this is definitely more conventional. A bit more down to the sort of standard we're used to. We've got raised panel lines, to be honest, it's all raised. And there's some recessed. No, it's raised, it's all raised. But it's nicely done. It's not, you know, it's not horrible trenches or anything like, you know, matchbox standard. Your intakes are nicely done, they seem really nice. That's the best bit of the kit I've seen so far, actually, in terms of moulding. Then you've got your wheels, they seem nice as well. Jet pipe, tailpipe there. Interesting. That seems decent. Seems decent. That's a lot better than sprue. I think that's quite nice. And then we've got a much bigger one, which is the one that's got all the booms on it. And again, the moulding's much finer here, and you can see those little pitos that are on the tail. They look nice. Much finer, much better work. Yeah, and you've got some nicely detailed panel lines here. And some very fine moulding. You see where the Hispano cannons come out under the nose, under the chin. You've got instrumentation here, that looks nicely done. This is much better. And the cockpit floor as well, that looks very nice. Even the legs here for the gear, that looks pretty good as well. Well, that's quite interesting, I think. I wonder what you're thinking as you're looking at these images yourself. It's quite a difference. And sorry, I've just realised that's the actual elevator, isn't it, between the two booms? Tailplane elevator, and its trim tabs as well. That's very nice. No problem with that. And then, oh my god, this is where it gets really strange now. Okay, I'm getting a bit confused. So we've got a second set of wings, which are the standard injection moulded plastic. So why have the... It's as though they've done it's perhaps two kits, and there's been a bit of confusion here. I'm not sure. Perhaps Chris, if he's watching, can shout up. He may know the answer. Did he buy this as aftermarket to get the tanks? Is that what this is about? Because it's strange that it wasn't in a bag. It didn't seem like it was part of the rest of the kit, like it's some sort of aftermarket. And it looks like resin for sure. This looks much more conventional. And then, to be fair, I'm almost tempted to now ignore these parts that are resin, because I think there may be some sort of aftermarket, or it may be the Swedish version that they've added in. I think we'll judge it really on its injection mould. I think that's fairer, really. So, well, you can see there that the detailing is really nice on this. It's really excellent, actually. That's pretty up to date in terms of the standard. Apart from the fact it is raised panel lines, but they're very fine, very nice raised panel lines. Some of the nicest ones I've ever seen, really. Yeah, that is nice. And on the other side, much more the sort of finish you'd expect from injection moulded polystyrene. Not this weird veined nonsense that you got on the other one. So it's a little bit confusing, this kit, I've got to say. I don't know if Chris has ever noticed this himself, or if he deliberately bought these parts as extras, perhaps, because it's got like different wingtips as well on the end, hasn't it? Can't say I'm very impressed by this resin, but the rest of it is fine. Let's look at these clear parts. So I don't think I'll open this back. I don't think it's strictly necessary. The other one can open because it's a resealable one, but this one's staple. I think we'll just leave that. It's a very basic looking canopy. Just get that in. Yeah, it's pretty basic. There's nothing fancy about it at all, but it looks okay to me. 72nd scale canopy, windscreen, sliding bubble canopy behind. Looks nice. Can't see a problem with that. And then on the other side, we've got this, again, optional for the other versions, I think. We've got these option canopies, which are vac formed. have a little look at, which actually look rather nice, to be fair. Yeah, they're not bad at all, really. Vac forming on Canopies, though, it's not my thing, really. I'm not a fan of it, if I'm honest, because they always seem very vague, don't they? But it's there, the detail you need. You've still got the windscreen detail, you can see there. Looks okay. Not a problem. Not a problem. And then there's a slightly smaller option, which I don't know which version that is for, but it's obviously maybe it's not, I don't know if that's the Dominican Republic, was it? I forget which country it was now. South American country. Oh, they've got the smaller canopy. I'm not sure, but that's actually quite nicely detailed. If you look at the windscreen, it's not too bad at all. So it's all a bit of a mystery, isn't it? Really, I don't really understand why we've got all these different variants. I understand the variants, but I don't understand the different manufacturing processes. Why they've had to source what looks like some rather crude parts elsewhere. Perhaps it'd be better just having a standard kit, you know. But you know, if you don't mind working at something, it's not a problem, is it? But that's a real mystery. That isn't nice. Those resin wings are really dire. Everything I hate about resin is right there in that image, to be honest. Anyway, I'm going to ignore those resin wings, because I think it'd be unkind to sort of judge you on that. What do we think? Well, in the end, it started brilliantly. It had this horrible dip in the middle, didn't it? But it came back strong at the end. I think it's an 8 out of 10. I think that would be fair. But you know, it's raised panel lines, but it's nicely raised, and it's got some really good detail to it. Even the gear bays are relatively detailed for a 72nd. It looks quite nice, really. And you can't beat a Vampire, can you, really? I think 8 out of 10 is where I'm at. That's my final offer. Thank you very much to Chris Downey for lending us the kit, because we couldn't have done this review without him, obviously. I'll make sure I get this all nicely bagged up and resealed and everything, and back to you, Chris. Please remember, don't forget to give me 10 out of 10 and smash that like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do so. And if you are a regular subscriber and contributor, just double check you've got that notification bell dinged, because I say that some of them have been undinged by YouTube. No idea why. Worth checking. Anyway, in the meantime, we've got lots of other interesting things coming up of a similar nature, actually, not from the same manufacturer. Marivox, I've never heard of them before. Or Daedelus. Interesting though. I mean, Poland have got some really interesting kits coming out, haven't they? They've got Armour and is it a couple of manufacturers? Quite a few now in Poland. And they are starting now to produce some really high quality kits, I've got to say, really top notch, you know. But yeah, I don't know what happened to Marivox. It may be that, you know, amalgamated into something else. Perhaps it's now part of Armour, I don't know. But an interesting kit, and definitely worth a look. Always like a little Vampire. Thank you very much for watching, and please look after yourselves and stay safe. And until next time, take care and bye for now.